Good pause YouTube, how's it going everybody? Got for y'all today a pretty fun battle that I had against Alec. I forgot his Twitter name, I apologize man, but I'll definitely put your link in the description whenever you leave a comment down below. But yeah, anyways, before I talk about team preview, I just want to say that this is a momentous occasion because this is going to be the first narrated and recorded battle on my new laptop that Laura got me, which is awesome, so I want to give a big thanks to her. And yeah, it's awesome because I really did need a new laptop because my other one was doo-doo. But yeah, this one is awesome. Anyways, I don't want to ramble on too much. The biggest threat I saw on Alex's team was the Mega Mawa because that thing can just sweep through my team, especially if it does turn out to be substitute with Swordsand. So he leads off with the Rhyperior. I lead off with my Scarf Rachi. I'm going to go straight for the U-turn because I really don't want to be that guy who stays in and goes for the Iron Head, trying to flinch a Pokemon to death. So I U-turn out into my Celebi, expecting him just to go for these Stealth Rocks, but he turns out to have the Dragon Tail. Dragon Tails me into my Garchomp, which I know won't be able to knock out Rhyperior, and I want to be able to save my Garchomp to possibly be able to sweep late game as I switch into my Alomomola. Unfortunately for him though, he does miss the Dragon Tail, which is actually a little bit crucial because now I'm free to go for the knockoff. Of course, you can't knock off Megastone, so he's going to make the smart switch into the Mawa. And I really wish I had Scald on the Alomomola because I would have gone for that instead, because then I could have possibly burned Mawa, which would have been nice. But I switch into my Jirachi as he actually hard switches out into his Cofagrigus, which I found to be very odd. I can't really do anything to Cofagrigus either way, so I am going to be forced to go for the U-turn because I don't want to stay in and get hit with the Shadow Ball or get Will-O-Wisp. And my Conkeldurr doesn't mind being burned because it does have Guts, and I am Assault Vest, but that Shadow Ball does way too much damage, which has me thinking that this Cofagrigus has to be max special attack. But I'm just gonna go for the safe knockoff, thinking, oh, he's not gonna predict this, right? He's gonna stay in and he's gonna go for the Will-O-Wisp. But no, he does make the safe smart switch into the Mawa, and I really wish that I had Fire Punch because I definitely would have gone for that. But obviously I can't stay in because if he does go for the Play Rough, I'm gonna get annihilated, and I'm just really hoping he doesn't want to go for the substitute, so I make the safe switch into my Jirachi. He does go for the Play Rough, and this is resisted, and that did a solid like 48%, and I'm very positive a Sucker Punch will be able to knock me out, so I'm gonna make the safe switch into my Mega Manectric. As he does Sucker Punch, now I can go ahead and Mega Evolve, and I'm gonna predict him to predict me to Volt Switch and want to stay in and go for the Sucker Punch. And what I'm gonna do is actually go for the Flamethrower so I can get off a huge hit, if not then possibly even knock out the Mawa. And even at -1, Sucker Punch did a solid 60% to my Manectric. Thankfully for me, he did over predict, and I'm able to knock out the Mawa, the biggest threat on his team. But you're going to see that that Cofagrigus actually turns out to be a big problem. Also, my Lodic becomes a huge issue. And I know that might sound a little bit odd, but trust me, he does run a very unique, awesome Milotic set if you ask me. But he brings in the Breloom. I'm going to make the safe switch into my Celebi. As he goes for the Mach Punch, I'm just going to take this opportunity to go for the Stealth Rocks as he now switches into the Cofagrigus. My only offensive move is Giga Drain, which really won't be doing much to that Cofagrigus, and because he is most likely max special attack, I don't want to stay in and take a possible Shadow Ball, so I am just going to go for the safe Baton Pass. And if you're wondering why I run Baton Pass over U-turn, it's just because I don't want to get Pursuit trapped by Pokemon who use Pursuit like Scizor or Tyranitar. So I Baton Pass out into my Alomomola. Unfortunately, he gets this by Death Drop, and I completely drew a blank and forgot that Cofagrigus had Mummy, so I go for the knockoff, knowing that I can take another Shadow Ball, then switch out and get my Regenerator HP. But because I made physical contact with Cofagrigus, my ability is now Mummy and not Regenerator, so I'm stuck at 83% HP, and I am at -1 special defense. I really don't want to lose my Alomomola, so I am going to make the safe switch into my Conkeldurr, predicting him to just go for another Shadow Ball. And I'm going to stay in. My hardest hitting move is knockoff, so I'm going to go for that, and I know I'm going to get the Mummy, but if he burns me I can just switch out then bring back in Conkeldurr, and I'll have the Guts boost. But he makes a very smart play if you ask me. He goes for the Disable, which means my hardest hitting move is now disabled and I can't do anything to his Cofagrigus. So I switch into my Alomomola hoping that I can take a Shadow Ball, but he actually switches directly into his Victini. I guess maybe thinking I would go for like the Ice Punch or Fire Punch or something along those lines. And this is actually really good for me because now what I can do is go for the Protect, and I'm very positive that his Victini is going to be choiced in some sort of way. So I can go for the Protect, scout out to see what he wants to lock himself into. I can then switch out, get my Regenerator HP, and then have Alomomola be at a higher amount of HP than it was before. As he went for the Psychic, I make this switch safe. Why can't I not say that? Safe switch into my Celebi, which takes a lot more damage than I was expecting. So now I'm thinking that Victini has to be choice specs. And he makes a very, very weird play into my Milotic. I'm not too sure what he was predicting, but either way it works out for him because I do switch out myself into my Alomomola thinking that he might want to go for like a Blue Flare on the options that he was extra belted or something along those lines. And this is where my Milotic comes and turns out to be a problem because he's actually Modest Life Orb with Competitive, which in my opinion actually sounds like a lot of fun. Personally, I do really want to try this out because look at how much damage his Hydro Pump does. Alomomola is not a fragile Pokemon whatsoever, and that did entirely way too much damage. As I go for the knockoff just so my team doesn't have to take as much damage from this Milotic, and I really don't want to stay in and take a hit, but nothing on my team really wants to switch into anything coming from this Milotic. So what I'm going to do is stay in and actually go for the Wish. This way, whatever I switch in should be able to live any hit that he wants to go for, and then I can gain the HP back with the Wish from Alomomola. So I switch into my Conkeldurr hoping that I can take a Hydro Pump as he pulls out the Skull, which I know you might find to be a little bit odd, but to be honest, the only real offensive moves Milotic has is Surf, Hydro Pump, Scald, and Ice Beam, and I don't think he has a hidden power because he never went for it, and I think he did reveal to me all his 4 moves. So outside of hidden power, the only real offensive moves Milotic has is Ice Beam, Hydro Pump, Surf, or Scald. So yeah, that's why he probably has both Hydro Pump and the Scald, as he makes a very risky play and he switches into his Victini, and unfortunately for him, I do actually get a crit, and this was actually kind of crucial because now I bring him down to a point where I can knock him out with the Mach Punch. But if I didn't crit him, I most likely would have switched into my Alomomola just to see what he wanted to go for, then switch down to my Celebi if he did go for like a Psychic or a Bolt Strike, I guess, maybe, I don't know, but I'm really positive he was specially offensive, although he could have had Grass Knot, I guess. But yeah, either way, I don't think it was game changing is what I'm trying to get to. So he brings back in the Breloom. I believe he went for the Spore. I kind of looked away, and I'm just going to go for the Baton Pass this turn because I'm very positive he is going to want to switch into the Cofagrigus, and after this turn of Stealth Rock's damage, I'm very positive I can knock him out with my Conkeldurr. But what I'm going to do is actually switch into my Manectric because I don't want to get the Mummy ability. I still want to keep my Guts on the off chance that he does want to bring in my Milotic, and if he does go for the Scald and I live and he burns me, I can then knock him out. But he actually makes a safe switch back into the Rhyperior, predicting my Volt Switch. I don't want to stay in, so I'm going to be forced to switch out, as he makes a very nice play and actually goes for the Poison Jab, predicting me to switch out. And I can see why he would carry Poison Jab, because Fairy types are a thing this generation and they are weak to Poison type moves, although I guess there are other coverage moves to run on Rhyperior, but to each their own. As he ends up poisoning me, he is then going to switch into the Breloom. I'm just going to stay in because I knew I could take any hit that Rhyperior wanted to go for and then go for the Wish. That way I could just switch something else in on the Rhyperior, or on the off chance that he did switch out, I could switch into something else on whatever he brought in. And because he did bring the Breloom, I'm just going to make the safe switch into my Celebi because I really don't want to have anything on my team be put to sleep. As he goes for the Bullet Seed, I really actually wanted to switch into my Celebi, but that was way too risky because I do need to keep Celebi around because I do have the Fire and Ice Punch to be able to knock out this Breloom on the off chance that he does put something on my team to sleep and I get a free switch onto it, because I should be able to live a Mach Punch as he brings in the Cofagrigus. I did go for the Baton Pass on the off chance that he did want to switch out. I can now bring in my Conkeldurr, which should be able to knock out Cofagrigus at the amount of HP that he's at, and thankfully I am able to knock him out. I do get rid of my Guts, but getting rid of this Cofagrigus was just so great for me because now I no longer have to worry about it. As he brings in the Milotic, I completely forgot that he had the Mummy on me, and I stay in thinking, oh, if he goes for the Scald, burns me, I'll knock him out. No, I have Mummy right now. Thankfully for me though, he actually went for the Recover, and this Drain Punch does a lot more damage than the one before did, so I'm guessing I just got a high damage roll, and I'm going to predict him to go for another Recover, and I'm actually going to switch into my Manectric. And I know I do activate his competitive, but then I was thinking I could just knock him out with the Thunderbolt or force him to switch out, but no, he goes for the Scald. And this thing is at +2 attack, and I'm not gonna lie, I was actually really panicking right here. So I bring in my Garchomp, just hoping I can knock him out with the Outrage, and thankfully I do, because my item is the Lumberry. So this was an unboosted stabbed Outrage, and I'm able to get rid of the Milotic, which turned out to be a bigger problem than I thought it would be, and I am locked into Outrage, so I really have no choice but to stay in. As I go for the Outrage, I do get off a pretty good amount of damage on the Rhyperior, as he is going to Dragon Tail me out, and this actually did more than I was expecting. But Rhyperior does have a massive physical attack stat, and he's actually going to Dragon Tail me out into my Celebi, which is just perfect because I can safely just go for the Giga Drain. At this point, his last Pokemon is the Breloom, which, as I said, I have Jirachi with Fire Punch and Ice Punch, and I should be able to live any one hit that he wants to go for. So I switch out into my Garchomp thinking that he might want to go for like a Spore or something along those lines, or just to fodder off my Garchomp. That way I could get a free switch into my Jirachi and then just knock him out, and he's going to finish me off with the Bullet Seed and Mog Punch combination, and I get the well needed free switch into my Celebi, not my Celebi, my Jirachi, and I'm just going to be able to live this Mog Punch. If I hadn't lived this Mog Punch, this would have been dragged out a whole lot longer than it would have to have been. Luckily though, he didn't crit me and I do live, and I just finish him off, and that is the victory in my favor. As I said, this was just a really fun battle. I got to use some fun stuff. I'm probably not going to use this team again just because it really isn't all that great. But yeah, if you guys missed my 2 previous uploads, they are playing on your screen right now. They have annotations on them, so go check them out if you haven't seen them yet. With that, enjoy the rest of your night and or day, and I think that is all. So I'll see everybody soon. Feel free to leave a like, leave a comment, subscribe for more content, and yeah, later everybody.